Greetings, YouTube. At the time of this filming, refugees are pouring across the borders of Ukraine trying to escape the war crimes being committed upon their country by Russia. I'm going to be very clear about that. Russia is committing war crimes. And all of the generals and Putin himself should all be brought up on trial at The Hague. At the moment, however, Ukrainians are seen to be doing a really good job of eliminating those generals. They've killed 5 of them so far. Go for it. And one of the things that is interesting to a lot of folks, me included, is how these refugees that are fleeing across the border are being treated. Now, in 2014, there was a migrant crisis in Europe when 1.4 million Syrians needed a place to go. And they tried to get into Europe because it's a hell of a lot safer than Syria. And no one wanted them. But now, in a 3-week period, Europe has absorbed 2.8 million Ukrainians without batting an eye. People are handing them care packages and baby carriages and giving it to them. They're filling up homes. Right now in the UK, there are people who have volunteered to take in Ukrainians. There aren't enough Ukrainians to fill the allotted offers. Well, you could take in some Syrians. There's lots of African immigrants that are looking for a place to stay. You could take those in if you want. They don't seem to be stepping up for those options. I wonder why. Could it be maybe because Ukrainians are white and Christian? And Syrians and a lot of Africans are definitely not Christian and definitely not white. So there was never a migrant crisis in Europe. There was a racism crisis. And the Ukrainian war is showing that to be true. Now, I'm not going to let the Ukrainians off the hook either. They are preventing Asian and black people in Ukraine from getting out of a war zone because they want to get the white people out first. So the Ukrainians are committing acts of racism within their own country and preventing people who are trying to flee a war zone from fleeing a war zone because they're not white Ukrainians. And some of these people that are trying to flee that aren't white are Ukrainians. But they can't because they won't be let on the trains. So the racism is all over the place. It's all over the place here as well. I don't think America gets off that hook either. But there was never a migrant crisis. There was a crisis of racism. There's a crisis of racism every day, everywhere on this planet. And we're not addressing it. We're not talking about it. Which means it helps to perpetuate it. So, let's talk about race. Let's talk about racism. Let's talk about trying to help all the immigrants, regardless of how much melanin they have in their skin.